Welcome to another Todd's
2-Minute Tech Tip Tuesday.
Brought to you by the National RV Training Academy, the largest hands-on RV training academy in America. Hey, before we get to the video, which I know this is the reason why you're here, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. That way you don't miss anything. Hit the subscribe button now. Thank you. Hey, let's go ahead and cover something we haven't covered in a while, and that is the poo pyramid. Let's go ahead and talk about that. Look, I know that it's the holidays coming up. Put down the chocolate pie. And let's talk about, well, what happens whenever your number two gets all crusty. How does it happen? How to get rid of it. Let's talk about how this happens. Now, I know for a lot of us, we're overly meticulous on dumping the black tank. We just can't stand the thought of keeping, our black tank full, nearly full, or somewhat full. But that poses the problem. Now, when you go to the bathroom, of course, you go and it just simply dumps into a specific area. If you were one of those, and believe me, when the first couple years that I RV'd, I was the same way. I would meticulously dump that tank and add just a little bit of water. Okay, don't add a lot of water, but add just a little bit of water. The problem is that little bit of water that you're adding really isn't helping the whole black tank poo pyramid situation. Most of the black tanks, if we were to show you a cutaway, the black tank is actually sloped. And it kind of makes sense that it's sloped because it sloped towards the drain pipe. And we want everything to slope that way. But typically, in the RV, we put the toilet right over the small section where it slopes this way. And if you go to the bathroom or whatnot, it goes down and hits that small section. And if there's no water sitting there, you flush a little bit, you get a little bit of water, it moves down just a little bit. Over here is where all the water is sitting. And if you don't put enough water in that black tank, then what's going to happen is as you go to the bathroom, and if you don't dump it and keep water in there, you're just building up a pyramid of poo. At our RV toilet, we have very little water. We go to the bathroom and we open up our toilet for our poop to flush. We begin to smell it, so we instantly close it off. We don't add a lot of water to, of course, what we've just pooped. Now, what takes place is our poop begins to pile up. And if we don't let the water rise and begin to break that down, and we constantly open up our black tank, what happens is all the water leaves and we leave a poop pyramid. Ta-da! If there's no water surrounding that pyramid, then that stuff's going to get dry, and this is what causes problems. We get obstructions, it's kind of gross. Okay? So here's the thing. Talked about how that happens, and guys, that's just nature. Here's how we prevent that, and that is to make sure that you have sufficient water in the black tank. Now, all of us, we actually have some type of indicator. It tells us, and most RVs, they give us the 1/3, 2/3, and full, or 1/4, 2/3, and full. I get the question a lot, how much water do I put in? Well, if the indicator's working, and I get it, chances are your indicator's not working, but get enough in there for 25% or 1/3 full. When you do that, the chances are that water level being high enough to encompass the entirety of that black tank. And if you have water sitting there, when you go to the bathroom, right, makes a little splash, right? But now, whatever solids you put in there is now mixing with the water and has a less great chance of actually creating problems. What's another thing that we can do? Well, if you use your water pump, okay, in the RV, the typical water pump will pump 3 gallons per minute. And if you're trying to figure out, I need something like 6, maybe 7 gallons in there because I want 1/3 full, well, then that tells us, well, we can hold that foot pedal down for 2 minutes to fill that up. You don't want to open that up. A lot of people, they will fill up their bowl, and they'll say, well, there's roughly a gallon there. Dump it, fill it up again, dump it. Do that 6 or 7 times, right? There are simple ways for us to figure out how much water to put in there, just a little bit longer than what we normally do. Here's the thing. If you don't have poo pyramid problems, then chances are you're adding enough water into the system. If you are having poo pyramid problems, then chances are you need to add more water. If you are always putting in sufficient amount of water, and you have poo pyramid problems. Could you have an internal leak? In other words, you got water seeping through the gate valve. And if it seeps through the gate valve, then you have less water content sitting in the black tank, and all you're doing is building up solids. You know, so yes, you could have a small leak beyond the gate valve, so the water escapes, but all the solids build up. Again, if you're having that problem where you're putting in water religiously, but you're noticing that you're hardly ever filling up that black tank, or let's just say, hey, look, I saw it at 2/3 when I went to bed, and I woke up, it was at 1/3. All right, well, that's an indicator that you have what we call an internal leak, right? It's seeping past your gate valve. One thing to do is put on a secondary gate valve, okay? Maybe with a clear elbow, because I know that we all have one. Right? And if this gate valve is closed, there should be nothing showing up in that second gate valve. It's a great way to find out whether you have an internal leak or not, right? Because if it's slipping past the first gate valve, you have a second one. And if there's water beginning to show up there, that lets you know you have a leak. Well, if that's the case, then you hire yourself a good technician to repair that first gate valve, because that is a crappy job. I'd rather pay someone to do that than myself. There you go. All right, before you get to the bloopers, which is why you're here in the first place, the RV industry needs thousands of RV technicians and inspectors, and now is the perfect time to do that. If you want to make more money or have more control over your time, go ahead and click the link below. Or if you just want to learn how to fix your own RV, got something for you there. Head over to rvtechcourse.com and get started today. Now, for the reason that you're at the end of the video, roll the bloopers. Are you pooing any less? Okay. It's kind of hard to actually think that that could happen. I would still say put a little bit more in there. Okay. It's gonna be gross.
Chocolate pie?
Yeah. So if you are, because it's Christmas time, you got pie, people eating chocolate. I'm just saying, don't eat chocolate while watching this video. I mean, each person poos a little bit differently, but so here's the concept: pumpkin pie. Well, yeah, that's if you eat something differently. Man, had we checked that before? Because I know some of you said, Todd, I've never had a poo problem, a poo pyramid problem. Gotcha. Do I start all over? Man, I hurt my good knee.